Hello, folks. This is Ken. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Adobe Illustrator, specifically in just opening up Illustrator and creating a new file and creating artboards. So here I have the window for Illustrator. This should probably be your first window that opens up in Illustrator. Once again, I would recommend that anybody who's new to Illustrator and even those that are been around a little bit, make sure to check out all of the materials and stuff that they have online about building skills and things of that nature. These can be really helpful, and if you already know it, you can skip through. But I'm requiring everyone, specifically those in Art 120, to do those, as many as you can, those tutorials. So you can click on this, you can view them in the app, and you can go over here to Practice Makes Perfect, which they have tutorials where you download packets and then you build things, and they talk about it. So especially during our COVID times, and we're working either synchronously or asynchronously online. We don't have that aspect that's very valuable in our program, which is the communal studio. So do take those things and use them, because they're here for you and they're free as you've taken this class. Okay. Also, too, down here, what's new? If you see here in the bottom left, if you click on that, if you've used Illustrator before, it will open up things that have been new since the last release. So this is the latest version of Illustrator. By the way, you can always go to About Illustrator, and this shows you the version. And if you type that version in, if you go to Wikipedia, you can look all the way back when it started as Illustrator 88, and that was my first introduction to Illustrator, which was in 1988. So the program is 32 years old and has gone through many changes. Okay, there it is. So create new, okay? Create new is like opening up a file and setting the format of the file. So this is like either requesting a very specific sized piece of paper, and you can make anything that you want out of it. I mean, you can make anything from 20 feet to 20 feet. You can make anything down to as small as you want, maybe 1 inch by 1 inch. When you select your new document, you're going to base your new document on whatever the assignment is. So if the assignment is calling for a specific format, and typically it does, then set up your document to reflect that. In a specific class that I'm teaching this semester, I'm asking students to make a very specific sized artboard, and I'm going to show that right now. So I'm going to call this 10 by 10 artboards. What Illustrator also allows you to do is, and I'm going to make sure that this is in inches, okay, and then I'm just going to type in here 10 tab 10, and that's going to create a 10 by 10 inch piece of paper on an artboard. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to make multiple artboards, okay? So you can make as many as you want. This is interesting because it allows you to have multiple pieces of paper, so to speak, that are the same size. You can change them afterwards into custom sizes. But then it allows you to work by taking all of those artboards and then exporting them as a PDF so that it's like a mini book. And I use this feature quite a lot if I'm designing something for a client, or if I'm putting together a book dummy, or if I'm just putting a bunch of images together that I'd like to sew together as a PDF. I'll do this as well. So I've made a 10 by 10 with 6 artboards, and then simply I'm going to leave the bleed here at 0. I hit create, and there it is. So here are my individual artboards, and they are 10 by 10. I'm going to turn on my rulers, Command R. And this is going to show me some different things about working with Illustrator, but I'm going to click off of that. Make sure to get my rulers on. You can see that they're 10 by 10. And then I can start, I'll take my text tool. I'm going to change this to Futura. Okay. And you can choose any Futura you want. I'm going to choose Futura Condensed Bold. And I am going to type in obliterate. I don't know if I spelled it right. Let's see. I'll select it and I'll make it larger. Obliterate. So that's the word, or that's the verb I'm going to use for this assignment. If you are working in another class, these are the first steps that you take relative to opening up and creating a custom file. Some students have asked me before, well, what if I don't know what the format is or if the format's open? Well, then you can just create like a letter-sized file, 8.5 by 11, or maybe that's the time for you to start to think about what format you might be using. Remember too, you can always close it out and start another file, and you don't have to accept that. You can always remake it any way that you want. So you can see here, these are 6 separate 10 by 10 pieces of paper, but we're looking at them here on the screen. If I zoom out, Command minus, you can see that if I look at these, this big gray square is something called, I like to call it the table, okay? But this is the expanse of a file that you can make in Illustrator, and it's roughly about 20 feet by 20 feet. So right now we are looking at these 10 by 10 inch squares that look like tiny little pixels. And what this is these are basically 1 foot by 1 foot. And Command plus zooms in. Okay. Remember, if you have any questions, please do contact me, either by email or text or a Zoom or Teams meeting. And also, too, at any time, you can request for one-on-one help from Tatiana Rodriguez or Ariel Palayo. Yes, that is a guy. And they'd be more than happy to get with you. Okay, have a great night, and I'll talk to you soon.